This is the future.
What's up, YouTube and Facebook, and welcome back to Not Quite Mint. On today's episode, we are doing our keys again. So we're doing this week's keys, some of the new ones, and we're also going to be spotlighting on Ironman. So, yeah, shall we get into it, Rich?
Yeah, let's get into it. It's time. So we've got spotlight on Ironman, and then we've got some, so obviously this week's keys. Do make sure if you are new to the channel that you hit the subscribe button down below. Also, give us a thumbs up, and Tom's got his dingy bell. My dingy bell is redundant, but hit the bell so that you don't miss any notifications from us. And also down below, Tom, just to let you know, if you again aren't already there, we are Facebook, Instagram, and obviously on Twitter, whichever one of those, or if not all of them, obviously check us out on there, and you can see what our sort of daily goings on is all about. So we're going to start with this week's keys, aren't we, Tom? So we've got quite a few. To be fair, compared to last week, we are blessed this week, aren't we? Because last week was slim pickings.
Yeah, and I suppose, to be fair, we're a little bit biased on the keys. We tend to stick to the Marvel and DC stuff. So when the independents come out, they don't necessarily always sound very good. So we do tend to stick to our kind of home boys, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, my view with independents is it's not a knock on them. It's just like sometimes they don't get popular until they've been out for a couple of issues and people have actually bought into the fact that the story's any good, or sometimes like an independent doesn't become like a key issue as such until it's like been optioned for a TV show or something like that. So I find it really difficult to make a personal recommendation on something that I know nothing about, kind of thing. So it's whereas, as I say, it's a lot easier with the stuff that we're reading week in, week out, isn't it?
Hell yeah, we can definitely recommend what we've been reading. That's for sure.
Indeed. So on that note, it's not a massive key this week, is it? But it's something that we are reading. It is part of probably what is probably the biggest kind of build-up event to the Joker war at the moment. We've got Batman 94 coming out. There isn't. I don't think there's a. It's a couple. There's the first appearances are being pushed off. So this is a bit of a filler, isn't it? I think
it's just a rematch. From what I've read, basically James Tynion is doing a rematch between Punchline and Harley Quinn from the last episode, last issue, even. So yeah, interesting to see what happens there.
It will be, and I think it's one of those things that there's been a lot of stuff that's been coming out this week for like the solicitations for Harley Quinn 75, and I'm like really on the fence because I know that they're already talking about bringing the next volume of Harley Quinn stories out, so they're kind of like building this up that it's like, you know, a big battle between Punchline and Harley Quinn, and obviously it's this rivalry that they're going to probably flog like a dead horse. And I'm a bit concerned that they're putting a bit too much hype behind Harley Quinn 75, and it's when it's not, you know, it might be popular at the time, but I think it's going to be one of those ones where I think it'll be a forgotten issue in a few years' time, if that makes sense. So some of the covers are quite expensive, but it's not like you know, Thor 5 or Hellraiser 3 or anything like that, where it's already fetching big money on the internet. Like you can quite comfortably pick up cover price books on that Harley Quinn 75 at the moment. So it's probably one to keep your eye on just in case the hype does get big, but you can pick cover price books up now if you want them. So probably buy now rather than get caught out later on by a bit of full speculation. That's my advice anyway. That's my advice, because they're already bringing out more Harley Quinn stories. So I don't know if you agree with that, Tom, but
I'd get the J. Scott Campbell ones if they weren't so expensive.
Yeah, well, he doesn't do wholesale, does he, over to the UK? So you're over a barrel to pay extortionate shipping.
Hell yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Harley Quinn. What's the next key?
But we are talking about keys, and I was talking about keys, Tom, because that was Harley
That
Quinn.
was not out this week. We're talking about this week's keys.
People are going to get ripped off with that, I'm telling you now. Anyway, so you can talk about this one then.
Yeah, so the next issue of Batman Adventure continues, is the issue 2, and we are treated to Deathstroke's new protege, which is called Sonny. And this one's written by Paul Dini, and the illustration on the front is by Sean Murphy. The artist, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head who it is, but there is an amazing Peach Momoko variant cover to this of Harley Quinn, like the proper old school animated Harley Quinn. It's really cool. So I really like this one. I'm looking forward to reading this one. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah, the Peach Momoko one, I think it's a homage to the Spider-Gwen cover from a couple of years back. So it's sort of it's that I genuinely do think it's going to be quite. I think certain covers are going to be hot. Whether the book with this first appearance of Sonny, how they take that on, it's one worth picking up again. I'd just say pick it up at cover price if you can. Don't pay silly money for it, but if you can get that Peach Momoko cover, it is a key issue. So with Peach Momoko being hot at the moment, probably definitely have a look at it. That's what I think. Ooh, just wondering which one to go for next. So I'm going to go for this one. So this is the Flash 757. Again, it's not a massive major key, but this is, I believe it's like something to do with like a Speed Force family. So we had, I think it was like, was it a Legion of something or other in a couple of issues ago?
It's this issue. It's the first appearance of the team Legion of Zoom.
Is that what this one is? Because they had it was like two twins, wasn't it? That were kind of like, they looked like it was like a female and a male character, and they almost had like the blue sort of like Speed Force going around them. So this one, as I say, it's I was just going to bring up the old so I haven't wrote any details down. Yeah, Legion of Zoom. So it's all the bad guys who are on the front, isn't it? There, so you've got Reverse Flash, Gorilla Grodd, Golden Glider, Turtle, Captain Cold, Fiddler, and that was it. It was the Tornado Twins. They were the ones that I was thinking of, because they said they announced themselves a couple of issues ago, and then they referred to this this Legion of Zoom, didn't they? And it was like, because I think people were thinking that that was going to be the key, but I think it was just the first mention, whereas this is the full proper appearance, and obviously it's got a cover appearance as well. So more, it's likely to stay around as well, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so. They're going to be in the next. They're going to be in the next few issues of this, and they could even be quite a big, substantial part of what's going on in Death Metal. To be fair, because there's some stuff going on with Flash in that that's going to be crossing over a few, I think. Yeah,
definitely. So you've got you've got a lot of bad guys in there as well. So could be. So which one shall we do next? I'll save probably favourite one till last. I think I know which one that will be. So we'll do this one if you want, Tom.
Yeah, cool. So the next issue of Justice League is out. So it's the issue 48 of the Justice League. It's written by Simon Spiller, art by Doug Mahanke. Mahanke. I think I've got it right. Might have got it wrong. Very, very apologetic if I have got it wrong. Anyway, this is the first cameo appearance of the Empress Sid Dix. So I'm not really sure what that character is, but I do know the last issue was really good when they went into Tartarus. So I'm not sure it's something to do with that. Loving the cover on this. I think it's a really, really nice cover. I just think it looks really cool. What do you think?
It's just an elaboration on what we'd said before, wasn't it? I'm not reading the Justice League, so I don't really know the whole storyline behind it. But they had the monster from Tartarus in the last one, so they seem to be on a run of a couple of keys, don't they? But this one, Empress Siddiq, so I can't really comment on the significance of it, but it is a definite first appearance. So if you are, Justice League, it's definitely one to make sure you don't miss.
Good one.
But again, probably stick to cover price, but if you possibly can. Right, so now this one is something I'm kind of getting quite excited about the more it moves forward. Fantastic Four Empire, this one, and it's obviously one of these precursor episode sort of comics to the big Empire event that's coming up, and it's obviously going to cross across like every single property in the Marvel universe, and it's obviously one of these massive big cosmic events. The only thing that's shocked me is that you've not got like I think I was saying to you the other day that Donny Cates isn't doing the Thor tie-in. It's a different creative team, so
I think they're giving everyone a bit of a it's kind of like they did years ago with the Young Guns, where they let in some of the more like not lower level, but people that don't have as much to do to have a crack at it. I'm surprised Dan Slott's writing this one, to be fair. But then him and Al Ewing are writing the main part of Empire, and I think the Fantastic Four are the main part of Empire, as it were.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be getting a lot of like the fanfare with it. This one has got a first appearance in it as well, and again, listening to other people talk about the significance of it, a lot of people are kind of like saying that when they basically announced an Elder of the Universe, which is this one in here, we're having the Profiteer, a first appearance of the Profiteer, who's an Elder of the Universe. Apparently, other Elders of the Universe, they tend to have like a relevance of significance in it, so it kind of makes you think that either this Profiteer is going to have some influence on the event of like Empire and potentially like beyond that. And again, if we're building sort of towards, I don't know, Fantastic Four and the next obviously phase of the MCU, again, you just want to pick up these kinds of first, because 1 minute they're worth nothing, and the next thing you know, they're like 50 quid a comic or something. So again, pick it up at cover price if you can, and go from there, really.
Nice.
That's it. And I think got to keep an eye open for Immortal She-Hulk as well, because I'm just thinking again, like as you say, with Dan Slott and definitely Al Ewing, we know that Al Ewing's going to be writing Immortal She-Hulk again, so whether there's going to be like little seeds being dropped in into that along the way as well, it's worthwhile keeping an eye open for. Right then, Tom, so this is one that like I wasn't that excited about really, but
I am.
You've sort of sold it to me, so go and sell it to everybody else.
Well, if you haven't been reading the Deceased line or the runs, where have you been? I didn't read them when they came out, but I got recommended to read the first set of Deceased. I thought it was fantastic. And then I read The Unkillables, which really hooked me in, hook, line, and sinker. So I was very interested to see where this was going to go. And I like the idea of this issue. So this issue is written by Tom Taylor, and I think he's doing the full run. It's got an amazing set of covers from Martina. Francesco Martina's covers are insane for this run. But anyway, so the actual, this is like a 6-part series, this one. And it's a little bit set in the future after all the kind of zombie things have gone on during Deceased. I won't spoil it for you because you should go back and reread Deceased and then Deceased and Unkillables, so you kind of know what's going on. Anyway, so in this one you get the first appearance of the Justice League, but a Justice League from a different kind of universe. But in this one, it's the first appearance of Jonathan Kent as Superman. And you've obviously got Damian Wayne comes back as Batman. You've got the Green Lantern, which is the Green Canary. So it's going to be an amazing comic. I really am looking forward to this one. And there's a lot of speculation behind this, kind of these characters coming into our current timeline of the DC universe. And I think it's to do with whatever's going on in Death Metal. So yeah, I think this one's definitely one to look out for. But yeah, I'm extremely excited to see Jonathan Kent turn up as Superman and Damian Wayne as Batman. I just think they've already been the Super Sons, so now that they're actually going to be like the full-fledged superheroes, I'm excited to read it and just to see what's going to happen with the deceased planet and how they're going to sort it out, as it were. But like I said, I won't go into too much detail because you could really read it. Anyway, what do you think, Rich?
Yeah, I think I'm Marvel through and through. So like when I saw this, I was like, oh, it's another DC thing, you know. And I know it was really, really popular, and I had obviously all the Martina covers for the original Deceased. Like obviously it was like last year, I think, wasn't it? And then we reviewed the Unkillables, which again was decent, but it came out right at the start of lockdown, didn't it? I remember doing the review, and I think it was one of the very first times we'd done a review, and we hadn't been in the same room, so it all kind of like messed it up a little bit. And I think with the whole like zombie side of things and everything, it just was a bit. Do you know what I mean? It just didn't feel in keeping with like the time frame. This, as soon as you said we've got Damian Wayne becoming Batman, and it's going to be the first time obviously in continuity that happens, along with Jonathan Kent as Superman, I was like, yeah, this is right up my street. Again, reading death metal and being really impressed with that. You know, you only have to look at the cover on here, and you've got Swamp Thing, you've got Constantine, as well as obviously your Batman and your Superman, and obviously your Wonder Woman in the new Dinah Lance. No, that's the Green Canary, and then you've got Wonder Woman as
Mark.
So when you see all that happening on the front cover, it instantly like dials you straight into wanting to read it, I think. And like you say, the obvious crossovers with the Afterlife Equation and the Dark Multiverse and death metal, it could be quite significant, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I just have this idea that in the future, or some kind of crossover, you're going to get Damian Wayne going toe to toe as Batman with Bruce as Batman. I just think that's going to happen. I don't know whether, kind of in my head, I've kind of made my own little story up that this lot even are going to end up going to the Dark Multiverse and being the ones that stop the Dark Batman, because they're the next generation. They've got better and bigger and, you know, more young ideas of how to beat them, as it were. But, you know, that's just an idea I've had.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something there. So I am looking forward to see how it may well all tie together. And but yeah, it's one of those ones that I think a lot of people might miss it, because they might do that assumption that I have and just be like, oh, it's another Deceased, you know. And some people who love Deceased, like you say, are going to love it, whereas other people will be like, oh, I haven't read the other two Deceased, so I'm not going to bother. But from a key potential, you've got first appearances of, you know, the next generation of Batman and Superman in this one. So you just can't overlook that, can you?
No.
You know, and I think they're still going ahead with like the whole G5 thing as well.
I think so. Yeah.
Again, if they're going forward with that, all the rumblings is that all these like your death metals and everything that they're doing at the moment is setting up what that next generation of DC is going to be. So this does make a hell of a lot of sense. But are we going to have another death of Superman, or are we actually going to have a death of Batman coming up before the end of the year or into next year?
See, they both died already.
Well, this is what I say. Like, are we going to have it happen all over again? Is there going to be that? Is that what 2021 is going to be?
No idea.
But there you go. It's just all a load of speculation. But that is going to be our key of the week, isn't it? That I think for those who just said, definitely have it as a key of the week. And there you go. But before we do go, we have been doing spotlights on sort of like the most popular sort of characters, haven't we? And this week we've got good old Iron Man. So do you want to start us off with the first appearance and obviously most expensive Iron Man comic?
Yeah, so Ironman made his debut back in 1963, written by Stan Lee, and the artwork was by Don Heck. This was his first appearance, and it is the Tale of Suspense, issue 39. And you also get the debut of his first Iron Man outfit, obviously. It's his first ever appearance. It's the first appearance of, I think, Tony Stark as well. So, yeah. I read this issue yesterday, and I didn't enjoy it. It's probably the best way to describe it. I thought it was really chippy choppy. Actually found it quite hard to read. I skipped a lot of it. But I can see why people liked Iron Man's origin, because of how he starts off as a gun creator, like, you know, creating military weaponry, and then he ends up with one in his heart, the shrapnel, as it were, and then he has to fight his way out. So I get all that. Really like the premise behind it. I do think I prefer the way they told the story in the Iron Man film and how they've developed his story throughout the years. But then that just shows that this was of its time, and all we've done is develop it into a much better story. But the premise is still there for the more, you know, ongoing stuff from what we've got nowadays. But what do you think, Rich? What did you think of this?
Yeah, I had a read through. I found it, because they're a little bit shorter, aren't they? I think it's only about 20 odd pages, isn't it? So I literally, it was like it was over before I'd known it. As my name today is saying, I'm not necessarily an Iron Man fan. I've never read any of his books at any great length. So I've watched, obviously, the films. I'm not even like that big an Iron Man fan in the MCU, if I'm honest. Like, shoot me down if you want. But yeah, so to be fair, I didn't find anything in this that I wasn't expecting. As you say, it's very of the time. It's got that whole, you know, it's, you know, I found the story in this, it was pretty much identical, but in an older world sense, to what the film goes through. That he's like obviously kidnapped and then has to create the thing to, obviously, the arc generator to, obviously, like, you know, so he doesn't get the shrapnel in his heart, and everything all lined up really equally. And then he builds this suit, and obviously that's the suit that we see, this Iron Man on the front cover. So there was no surprises, nothing, you know. So it was what I expected. But having read, you know, currently reading Fantastic Four and stuff like that, it was all the same kind of language and everything. Do you know what I mean?
You know, I know that Marvel Studios, when they first came out and they did Iron Man, they got a lot of stick because he was seen as a B team, or like a kind of like a bit of a cannon fodder character over like Fantastic Four and X-Men. So now I've read this, I understand why the critics were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you've gone for Iron Man. Out of all the characters you could have picked, out of all the rich characters in the Marvel universe, you went for Iron Man." I can understand why people are a bit a bit on the fence about it, because this issue isn't great. It really is great. However, I do like Iron Man, and I do like some of his more recent stories. I mean, I love the fact that he has lots of different types of armor. I think that's great. From a designer point of view, I think it's lovely that you can design whatever you like for Iron Man.
Yeah, so, like I've never bought into it. I've never read his comic. I've never read the comics. I'm not a massive. I was never. You know, I saw the first Iron Man film and I kind of liked that. Really didn't like the second Iron Man film, and I've watched it recently and I didn't like it anymore. And then Iron Man 3 was, again, just a bit of a what's it. I liked him in the Avengers films, but I didn't like the standalone Iron Man film. So I've never really been.
I love Iron Man 2 because of the soundtrack.
Yeah, I thought it was crap. I thought there was too much talking and not enough action in that one. So I really didn't like the second one. But there you go. Shall I do my kind of? It's been quite difficult actually to pick a key issue for this that means anything to me, because again, I haven't read any of the issues. So the one that I went for, and it's not an expensive book, it's a Bronze Age book. It was this one, 282. Now, it's the first appearance on the cover of War Machine, of what we actually know as War Machine. But War Machine in this is actually inside the suit. It is Tony Stark, not Jim Rhodes. Jim Rhodes is in the comic, and he's acting as this like in an advisory sort of capacity. But in the War Machine Iron Man suit, it's actually Tony Stark who's going out and doing everything. And the bad guy in this is actually Justin Hammer, which weirdly enough obviously goes back to it's Iron Man 2 again, isn't it? So so I just found that whole thing quite amusing. And the reason why this stood out to me was because obviously, much like yourself, Tom, I've got the recent Venom, which is the homage to this very cover. Obviously, this is Greg Horn's artwork, and then I don't know who did the artwork on Iron Man 282, but it was in my mind. So picking out a key issue, this was the one for me. But again, I think you can get it for about probably 20 quid, something like that. It's not expensive.
Nah, it's a good cover. I like the cover on this one.
It's a cool cover, to be fair. I do like it. It's like proper, like classic kind of, as I say, like what it's going to be probably Copper Age, isn't it? It's on the verge of bronze copper type of age comic. Right then, Tom, do you want yours, mate?
Yeah, let's do it. So I went for the first ever appearance of the Hulkbuster, because it's my favorite character by 100 million years. Hulkbuster is I just think he's awesome. I love the artwork. I love the way it was drawn. I love the way it looks. I like the fact that it doesn't really stand up against Hulk in any way, shape, or form, but it's worth a try. I mean, I liked Planet Hulk, World War Hulk, when he comes back and he brings out Mark II of the Hulkbuster, and it's still just as bad as Mark I. But yeah, great. This is Iron Man issue 304. It was written by Len Kemmings, and it came out in May 1994. This actually doesn't have the Hulk in until the end, and I couldn't work out what the problem was throughout the book. I know that they were talking about like how where the Hulk was created, they decided to shut down the kind of like the military base. They decided to shut it down, but they're worried that someone was going to go and steal all the bits and make a gamma bomb. So they're like, right, Iron Man, you need to go and sort it out. And then the next kind of panel, he's in this room with like a shipping container, like a crate, even like a wooden crate. And then he's in it, and he comes out of it, and the Hulk suddenly turns up, and he's like, "I've been waiting for you." And he just turns out in his Hulkbuster outfit, and you're like, "Wow!" If whatever happens next, like, because obviously in the next issue there's a huge fight between the two of them. It's kind of, you kind of deserve that. You were sat there waiting for him and decided to put this hunky, massive piece of armor all over the top of yourself. You're kind of asking to get punched in the face, really. If you're gonna get there, get all kitted up and go, "Come on, then." I mean, you're going to get us back, really.
Yeah.
I did like it. I thought it was very well written. Like I said, I didn't understand why the Hulk had turned up, because it was never kind of given away that it was Hulk that was going to make the gamma bomb, or whether they just assumed it was going to be Bruce Banner that was going to make this gamma bomb. But when the Hulk turns up and he's all kitted in this Hulkbuster outfit, I'm not surprised he just smashes him in the face.
Yeah. Well, as I say, he's going to stand out a little bit in the Hulkbuster, isn't he?
But I mean, the start of this comic's really good, because there's a dam that's been destroyed, and you've got Thunderstrike fighting Iron Man, thinking Iron Man's done it, and then the New Warriors turn up, and they're like, "Actually, no, we did it." And then Thunderstrike and the New Warriors start having a fight, and Iron Man's like, "You're both pathetic." Thunderstrike, you are pathetic because you're fighting youngsters, and you lot are pathetic because you shouldn't have blown up the dam in the first place. But can you all just get off my property, because it's actually Stark Industry owned, so just go and do one. It's really good, actually, how they kind of play off on each other. I like the start of this comic. Didn't like the ending. I did obviously like the Hulkbuster bit, but that was about it, really.
No, as I say, I mean, I obviously not read it, but I've issues that I've read of Ironman are still there's so many other things that I'd rather read than Ironman. He just never it still doesn't grab me as something that I want to go back and read, which is, it's a shame really, because that hasn't happened for a while. A lot of stuff that we've read and characters we've had spotlights on, if I've not read them before, like Invincible, I've been really into it. But obviously, key issues for everybody there to have a look at. And there you go. But we are pretty much finished with all the books that we wanted to talk about. So let us know down below what you think of this week's keys, and also let us know if you've got any favourite Ironman stuff, or am I wrong in not liking Ironman books? Is there something that could convert me? But let me know in the comments down below. Apart from that, guys, do make sure you subscribed. Obviously, give us a thumbs up. Hit that bell so you don't miss our notifications of when we're going live. And that's it. We're going to be back on Thursday when we're going to be reviewing some of our this week's comics, some of which we mentioned earlier on. And that's about it. What have you got to say, Tom?
Yeah, so again, just to reiterate what Rich said, come back Thursday because we'll be doing our reviews. Not only will we be doing our keys reviews from tonight, like picking our best ones that we've enjoyed, we'll also be giving you a little bit about what we've actually been reading that's not a key. So like some of our ongoing reads, some of our past reads. I'm going to talk about House of N this week, which I've finally finished. So yeah. It's going to be an interesting one on Thursday, so make sure you come back. Also, don't forget we've got a giveaway on the go. If you want to know a bit more about the giveaway, you can see any of our other episodes. Or Rich might tell you about it now.
Yeah, basically all we're doing is we've got a few books, and keep your eyes open because we should be having more frequent giveaways coming soon. But basically it is because we haven't run one since February, they are you're going to get picks of the month for February, which is, funnily enough, DC Unkillables #1, the Martina red hub cover, and also Batman Detective Comics Annual 3, which again was just a brilliant bit of story writing. You're also going to get all these comics, I think 7 other comics, along with this sketch cover that's been drawn by Tom. It's Thor #1, obviously, of the Donny Cates run, so a very hot title at the moment. And then obviously we've got the original artwork from our very own Tom on there as well. So if you enter in the comments down below, just hashtag NQM crate giveaway, and we'll be entering you in that. And hopefully fairly soon, me and Tom should be getting together to actually do our live drawing of that prize. But lockdown keeps on preventing us from kind of doing that in a one way or another. But yeah, so make sure you do that. I'll just pop these back. So until Thursday, guys, make sure you stay safe and take care of yourself. And I'll see you next time.
I'll just say the same thing. Yeah, look after each other, stay well, read more comics, and